Hello, everybody, it's Tim here again with another movie review, this time for The Menu. Now, The Menu, I believe it came out this year. I haven't seen this. I just now recently watched this film, I should say. It was really hyped. This film was extremely hyped up. I think it even, sorry about that, I had to adjust the camera. But I think it even got some really good critic reviews. I think it has like maybe like an 70 something or an 80 something on Rotten Tomatoes, which I never cared about Rotten Tomatoes. I honestly don't care about what critics think about movies, but I'm just bringing all this up because I'm getting to a point, believe me. But yeah, so critics really like this. Even the IMDb score is like 7 point something or whatever, so it's got a good IMDb score. But if you actually look at the IMDb reviews, there's a lot of like 9 out of 10s or whatever and 10 out of 10s. But if you actually look at the majority of the reviews, they're all mixed to like negative. The majority of them are. And I gotta say, I'm with those guys. I should have looked at the IMDb reviews before I watched this. This film is not that good. It has good moments and good parts. Overall, though, this is easily a 2.5 out of 4. This is an all-right time killer movie. It is not that great. Anna Taylor-Joy is in it, and Nicholas Hoult is even in it, I think. It's the dude that played Beast in the X-Men prequels. And you got Ralph Fiennes as the crazy cook. Then pretty much you got these group of hoity-toity people that like go to this island where they're gonna cook and all that, or go to see the chef cook. I mean, who's like supposedly the master chef, played by Ralph Fiennes, and it's like a critique on the higher up like social class or whatever. And he's there, and he's like went crazy because he's lost his love of cooking and all that because he's had to cook for all these hoity-toity people. And one of them's like John Leguizamo and all that, and now he's gonna like punish them. And the movie has a tongue planted in cheek at certain points, like it lets you know that you're not supposed to take this that seriously, like you are supposed to laugh at some of it. It does try to play itself as like a horror comedy at points, but overall the film just kind of lags. There's just not a lot that goes on. And that's my biggest problem with this movie. Like most of it's just like pontificating. Like it's just Ralph Fiennes or whatever pontificating about making the meals and all that and telling everybody like why they're there to die. And like some people you can understand why he wants to kill them. Because they are like legitimate, like evil assholes, and other people are just like they're just kind of like slightly douchebaggish, and they don't really deserve to be there to die at all. But of course, you're not really supposed to like root for Ralph Fiennes, but at the same time, or Ray Fiennes. But at the same time, you would think though, if you're really going to critique like the upper class like this, like characters like John Leguizamo, who's just a little bit scummy, but he's not really like a bad guy in the movie. Like he doesn't really deserve to die. Neither does his woman that's with him, really. They're just kind of assholish and maybe a little prickish, but don't really deserve to die. And the movie never really like justifies killing them. And part of the problem is it's mostly show and don't tell. Like you get like Ray Fiennes, I mean, like preaching about like how horrible these people are, but they never really show you like what these people have done and all that. They never really like show you. They just kind of tell you. So you never really connect with like really wanting to hate them. And then most of the movie, like I said, is just like long quiet spells with him just like pontificating. And Nicholas Hoult is here. Is just like a psychopath who's like obsessed with the cook. Um, and he's just like all through the whole movie going, this shit's great. This is amazing. Don't talk to Chef. I wish Chef would talk to me. And of course, you find out later he's actually in on it. He brought Anna Taylor-Joy there, even though she wasn't actually supposed to be there because his date that he was supposed to bring broke up with him. So she dodged the bullet, not getting in this situation. But he brings her there, and Ray Fiennes, I keep wanting to say Ralph, but I think it's pronounced Rafe. But Ray Fiennes knows that she's like not a part of the group or not in this social clique like the rest of them. But still, though, he feels like he has to kill her. But you can see him like kind of bonding with her through the movie, and eventually he like lets her leave to like go get this barrel for him. And of course, you know she has two options here. She could just escape. She could get away, even though there's like no way to get off the island right now because there's not like a legitimate boat or whatever. She could still take off from the island or just go hide out until everything was over. She could leave and just get away at this point, but she chooses not to. She tries to help the others and tries to call for help, but of course the supposed Coast Guard dude comes there, and you find out he's actually just one of the cooks, and he's in on it too. Which I saw the twist coming, but I actually did like it that he was just like playing a game with him, like he had jerked out a gun. He's like, "All right, get down, man, get down," and then of course you find out he's in on it. That was kind of funny. But my biggest problem with this movie is the people who are the victims, who are like supposedly the upper class or whatever, they don't really do anything to help themselves. Like they do nothing. Like there's at least like 7, maybe 8 of them. Not counting Nicholas Hoult, who's just an insane retard. Eventually, he just hangs himself because the chef says, "Cook for me," and he's like, "I can't, chef. It tastes," and he's like, "Oh, it tastes like shit or whatever. It tastes bad," and so he goes off and hangs himself. Um, but they do nothing to help themselves. Nothing. Like even if like all of them didn't get away, they could still easily like start a fight in there, and if all of them, like including John Leguizamo and Anna Taylor-Joy, and just like all of them at once just attacked all the cooks that were in there and all that, they wouldn't all get away, but some of them would make it outside and be able to get out of there. if they just work together. Like they don't work together. And the movie even like makes a point of that. Like Ralph Fiennes even calls it out. Like you might have even been able to escape if you just like tried, but you didn't. I guess that's kind of supposed to be like an in joke of like, well, you kind of get the idea that maybe you deserve to be here. I'm like, bullshit. They probably would have. They would have still tried to escape. But even at the end of the movie, like Anna Taylor-Joy, when she goes up to like his house or whatever, when she gets to go out to get the barrel thing, like she looks in his private room and sees a picture of him when he was happy cooking hamburgers. And when she comes back, she's like, "Your food tastes like shit. Make me a hamburger. I'm starved." And he makes it, and she's like, "This is great. Can I get this to go?" And it supposedly reminds him of the time when he was actually happy at cooking and all that before it was zapped out of him by this supposed upper class. And the other thing is like, of course, the far-fetched thing of all these people who are also cooks, like, are willing to die for Ralph Fiennes as well in Suicide Pact. Is like a cult. And I get that kind of joke about that, you know, how people are like, yes, chef, this chef, like they treat them like a god or something when they're like cooking and all that for these upper class people and all that in real life. So it's kind of like a black comedy joke about that. At the same time, though, when you see it in movie form, it's kind of a little hard to buy. But you get to it or whatever, though, and she's like, "Can I get this to go?" And so, because it reminds him of the time when he was happy at cooking or whatever, he lets her go. So Anna Taylor-Joy gets to leave. She looks back at everybody and she just gets to leave and take her food with her, and she drives off on the boat. And then he puts like chocolate and a thing of marshmallows on everybody else, and then sets himself and his whole staff and everybody in there on fire, and they all just die. And that's the thing. They all sit there and let it happen. John Leguizamo sits there and lets this happen. They do nothing to help themselves. Like, yeah, they probably all couldn't get away if they started a fight or whatever. But these people have no guns. Yeah, they have some knives and stuff, and they probably wouldn't be able to take them all out. But at least one or two of them would make it outside. And there is a scene where he does take them outside, and he's like, "Let's get some fresh air." And he's like, "All right, the men, you get a 45-second head start to try to get away." And he like lets all the men run away. And none of them like even think or try to like outwit the kitchen staff to like try to escape or try to get the upper hand or even try to do anything. Like they just go off and hide in like obvious places and get caught. Like there's no effort put in from the victims. That's what I didn't like about this movie. There's just no effort. Like they could have, like, if they would have ran off all together and stayed in a group, they could have like went back around back to the chef place and all that, and went in there and like maybe messed up the locks or stole some of the cutlery and all that, and like teamed up and caught and tried to like kill or set a trap or something for like one or two of the people that were working there and take some of them out at least. Like if I know I'm gonna die and I have a less than low percent chance of getting away, I'm taking some assholes with me. I'm not just gonna sit there and let somebody roast me like a marshmallow. That's bullshit. Like nobody here put forth any effort to do anything, and so when the movie ends, it's just like ends on a whimper, because you don't really feel much for the victims because you don't really hate them because they haven't really shown you them being like pure evil. They just kind of tell you that they're assholes, and you don't really like root for them to get away or anything much. You kind of maybe feel a little sorry for them, barely, because they put forth no effort at all to try to escape. And so by the end, you're just like, eh. So I'd give this a solid 2.5 out of 4. Like, this seems like one of those movies that's just kind of like made for critics, where it's like really slow pace and all that, and you get like people philosophizing to the whole movie or whatever, and like talking really slow. And so it's like, oh, it's so poignant. Oh, they're talking slow. It's like, no, they're just kind of talking slow to elongate this premise. Like, this would have been better as like a short episode of Tales from the Crypt or something. Like, yeah, overall, 2.5 out of 4. It's all right, but this movie is not that great. The 80-something% or whatever in Rotten Tomatoes is or 70 to 80 is ridiculous. This deserves like a 65 at best to me. Yeah, it's all right. All right, time killer. There's nothing that great about this movie. But yeah, the acting though I would say is good. The cast is good. Yeah, overall 2.5 out of 4. All right, time killer. I will never watch this again. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.